Welcome to Business Talk with Meghan McNulty, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of business success and reveals the strategies, insights, and stories that drive these professionals to thrive in the ever-evolving world of business. Whether you're an established entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply fascinated by the world of commerce, this podcast is your front row seat to learn from the best. Each episode, Meghan will bring you engaging interviews with professionals from diverse industries who will share their triumphs, lessons learned, and the insights they've gained along the way. Antella, thank you for being here. I know you're so busy. I would like to tell everybody listening a little bit about you. So for those who haven't met Antonella, Antonella Castro is a multifaceted individual with a remarkable track record in both community service and the business realm. As the chairwoman of the Newport Beach Foundation, she plays a pivotal role in driving initiatives that contribute to the betterment of the local community. In addition to her leadership at the Newport Beach Foundation, which I'm also involved with, Antonella serves on the Library Board of Trustees for Newport Beach. She's also involved with National Charity League here in the city, demonstrating her commitment to the cultural and educational aspects of the community. Her involvement extends to the Simon Scholars Advisory Board, where she actively contributes to fostering educational opportunities. Alongside her community-focused roles, Antonella is a prominent figure in the business world. She, along with her husband, owns Cap 7 International, and it's a company with a global presence in retail and distribution. Antonella's expertise as a transactional real estate attorney is evident in her role as outside general counsel to Cap 7, where she navigates complex legal landscapes related to retail, distribution, agreements, and sponsorships, both internationally and domestically. Antonella's professional journey encompasses significant experience in construction, finance, acquisition, and disposition. Her strategic insights and legal acumen make her a valuable asset to business owners seeking guidance in diverse areas. She has also served as outside counsel to business owners seeking guidance in these diverse areas, as well as, which I didn't mention, outside counsel to technology and social media companies. Notably, Antonella serves as the chair of the United Ways United for Student Success initiative, contributing to educational advancements on a nationwide scale. Her commitment to making a positive impact extends across various sectors, reflecting a dedication to community welfare, education, and business excellence. So thank you, Antonella, for being here.
Thank you so much, Meghan. That was quite the introduction. I think, when you get seasoned, you have more things, more experiences for people to highlight.
I don't think I didn't even cover everything that you do there, but we did a lot. Antonella is also a mother of 3 small children who are still in grade school. And so she's really an amazing leader in our community. And I'd like to start out with asking you, in particular today, what motivated you to become involved in philanthropy and community engagement, particularly with Newport Beach Foundation, since I'm also a member of the board with you there?
Well, that's really a 2-part question. So I think the first part in terms of philanthropy and giving back and what motivated me is I really learned early on. I grew up in Las Vegas, and my mom and I started the Las Vegas chapter of National Charity League when I was entering 7th grade. And from there, we would volunteer at battered women's shelters, do food drives, do clothing drives. I was 11, and it really showed me the impact that 1 or 2 individuals can have on someone else's life. And it made it really concrete and real. And when you watch that change and you watch one life at a time, you go and celebrate their birthday, and maybe they haven't had a birthday party ever, or in the last, few years that they can remember. And, small things like that really go a long way. That stuck with me, from adopting families, through the Salvation Army, through organizing different events with my sorority and in law school. Fast forward, being involved with United Way. I've served on the board. It's my I think I'm in my 8th year on the board, and since 2008. So I don't know the math on that. It's about 15 years. And it's really something that I cherish, is the ability to give back to people and to my community. I think all of us really have an obligation, regardless of how much or little you have, you can always do something for someone else. So I think it's just been innate. And if anybody knows me, they know I want to recruit and get people engaged and fired up. And it usually works out really well. So the Newport Beach Foundation combines, civic engagement, and civics is really our knowledge and study on your rights and obligations, right, within a society. And the more modern definition of that incorporates the role of government, and how the government impacts your rights and obligations in society. And so we strive with the Newport Beach Foundation to educate, right, our demographic, which is here in Newport Beach, on our local government, our city leaders, and how that impacts our businesses, our schools, our day-to-day life. And we also offer our residents opportunities to give back. Most recently, a couple of days ago, we thanked our first responders. We just did a really simple, you think it sounds so simple, having the TK Burger truck, come to the police headquarters, which they share a parking lot with fire. So it was really great. 2 birds with 1 stone. We thanked the police department and the fire department, and they were so stoked to have, TK Burger and our alumni who graduated our Distinguished Citizen program, which we can talk about a little more detail later, to come do a tour, see what they do day to day, kind of demystify or really educate us in how they do so much more, like dispatch. It's insane. I learned I probably could not be a dispatcher because I'm really bad at reading maps, good at multitasking and talking, bad at reading maps and giving directions. So I think I got ruled out on that one. That it really meant a lot to them. They were really excited, and the firefighters were as well. They slid down the pole. They had a call. They went out on a call when we were there. So that was combining, right, knowledge of what's happening in your city. It gave our alumni and ourselves, board members, kind of that inside information into part of our city and how it's run, and also allowed them to give back with their conversation, their relationships, and food.
I know it was wonderful. I couldn't believe that the police department showed us that when they do get a call, they can kind of zero in on a drone, right, onto your street. Yes. I'm like, wow, you can see everything going on. It's so crazy. It's like, someone's always watching. I mean, not really, but basically they could if they wanted to, right? Yeah,
it was really funny because one of our attendees, she's like, I walk on the beach at night. Can you guys see me? Oh my gosh. She was like, you can see where I'm walking on the boardwalk. And she kind of blew her mind. I think she was reevaluating maybe some like outfits or, hair.
Yes. I was shocked. I was like, whoa, I didn't know the technology was so advanced, and the operation to keep just like one city safe and, operating and secure. It's amazing. So.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So that kind of leads me into, basically, just to recap, Newport Beach Foundation, you chair this foundation, and, what you just talked about. So you're running it, and you're ushering in lots of people in the city who either work in the city or live in the city, into our program to teach them about, who's running it. So I guess my next question would be, why do you believe it's crucial for individuals to understand and engage in civics education within their community?
Well, I think you have to ask yourself do you want to have a say in your life? Forget about the bigger community and just think about yourself or your family, and how much control you want to have over that versus just going along and having things happen and you react. So knowledge, right? It's like the old adage, the more you know, it really rings true. So if you have a better understanding of, oh, I want to open a business. What is the process? Who can I contact? Do I know some of these people? Can they help me? Can they, kind of shepherd me through this, or remove some of the obstacles? What's the best school, or how do I give back? How do I honor like our first responders, or how do I sign up? How I would like to volunteer. I have more time now. I want to give back. All of that comes with knowledge. Nowadays, there's so much access to information, and there's also a lot of misinformation, particularly around issues that are, can be charged or people are passionate about. And so I think it's really important for people to take a second and just learn. They don't have to become an expert in the inner workings of city council and how things get on an agenda unless they want to, but at least knowing, how it's run, how decisions are made, where the roles are, or if they're really, focused on how the schools are run, understand who their school board members are, understand the role of the superintendent. It'll really give, I think, people peace of mind when they know how something operates, and then they can decide, I'm good with how it is, or I have more questions, or I want to get involved, or I want to make a change. All of that starts with education. And so the Newport Beach Foundation, through our Distinguished Citizens Program, which now we've graduated 9 classes, we have over 240 residents who have gone through the program. It is a month-long program. Our Distinguished Citizen Program in May will be our 10th class. So we've graduated 9 classes. They are about 25 to 30 people. There is a full application process. They are biannually, and they last 4 to 5 weeks. And during this sessions, our residents either have to live or work in our city. They get to meet all the department heads. So Public Works, Parks and Rec, Finance, our city manager, city council members. We often will have a business leader from our community come and share their story and how civics, knowledge of civics and involvement in our, I don't want to say necessarily politics, but knowing our city leaders has helped them with their businesses and with their bottom line. So, and I'm happy to report from our 9 classes, we have 45 graduates serving our city in either on a board, commission, or committee, and countless others who are actively being advisors or volunteering more, and also spreading good information about how things are run in our city, and can go out right into different events and interact with our leaders. I mean, that access breaks down, I think, a little bit of a stigma or an apprehension of, well, I'm never going to know the mayor, or I'm never going to meet the city manager or the police chief or the fire chief. And this program really gives that personal access, and they communicate. I have a graduate who just met with the fire chief and a couple other of his colleagues to start the fire department foundation. So the police department has had a foundation, and the fire department never did, for really no reason. No one really understands why, and now is in the process of creating that. So stories like that get me excited. If you can't tell, my voice just, kind of like went up, and get me really excited about what we're doing as a foundation and what I'm doing, as an individual too, a small cog in this kind of organization.
Yes, I know the foundation has been extremely impactful in getting people involved in the city. Also, like you said, making sure that, misinformation can easily be distributed everywhere. So if you're actually actively involved with the decision makers, you have a firsthand account of what's actually happening. So we've been able to, with the access to information that's out there, we've been able to actually get the right information out by people who are actually witnessing it, just not people watching the news and then complaining and they don't really know, what's happening. I would say another very strong thing, I was going to ask, how can, getting involved civically having a positive impact on an individual. But I would like to first, before you answer that, say that for me personally, I went through the course when I first moved to Newport Beach because I was looking to establish community and get involved in a leadership role. And I made a lot of my friends, including you, through the program. And we've had that story, throughout. People were looking for a community, looking to know who, lives in their city, and people have made really great friendships from the experience as well. And I don't know if you can think of it. We've touched a lot. I don't know if you can think of another really positive impact from it. Well, from Newport Beach Foundation for the individual going through it.
I mean, I have a lot of stories. I even have stories from our city staff who came to one of our events, actually our holiday event. We highlighted Precious Life Shelter, which is a shelter for otherwise homeless, single pregnant mothers. And they give them, temporary housing. They go through a full 18-month program to become, self-sufficient. They provide childcare. It's really amazing. It's in Los Alamitos, so it's not in Newport Beach, but it's in our county. And turns out one of our city staff he's a widower, and his wife, who passed, was incredibly involved with this organization. And he was like, I am so thankful that you highlighted them. It has reminded me of her and of how we used to give back. And I'm going to start getting re-engaged with them. So that's just a small, maybe not the answer, that you're looking for, but that's a personal story. And we were able to, we hosted it at Sherman Gardens. So a lot of people hadn't ever been to Sherman Gardens, even though it's right in our backyard, which is an amazing location. We were able to raise money to provide a field trip for one Title I school to come to the gardens. And it's meant to, the programming then on their field trip is meant to interact and complement what they're learning in their science programs in third grade. So they'll learn about geography and climate and all as it pertains to California. So that's really neat. And we were also able to provide Precious Life Shelter with Christmas gift cards, multiple, actually, she ended up telling me, per resident. So it was a great way to close our year. We had a really busy, exciting year, and we just continue to look for different ways to give back to our community, educate our residents, and really support people in whatever their passion is. Try to be that branch or that lead, that warm lead, to connect people, whatever it may be.
Yes, I mean, that last event was amazing, and the outreach, just exposing people to some of these organizations and who's doing what, has been very impactful for our community. How do you think the organization encourages young individuals or, let's say, marginalized communities to become involved in civic activities and take an active role in shaping their communities?
Well, if I take just a step aside from Newport Beach Foundation, and I can talk about Orange County United Way.
Yes.
And so as the chair of their leadership committee, we run our United for Student Success initiative, which is countywide, which is one of 3 initiatives that Orange County United Way focuses on. It's financial stability, housing, United to End Homelessness, and United for Student Success. So we are in the Title I schools predominantly, and we have a strong relationship with the Orange County Department of Education to help identify the schools and get our programs in. We do a Youth Career Connect, which students go through internships in the summer, and it typically leads to employment. And we also have recently startup boot camps where high schoolers it's on Saturdays, it's 5 weeks, it's all day. They learn how to write a business plan, how to open bank accounts, how to market their products. And these communities that we are in, and I should say after they graduate, we then have like a fair, essentially, where they are selling their goods, and then a few of them qualify to get scholarships. So when they graduate the program, this will be coming up our third year doing it. I have seen a lot of the communities, be Asian or Hispanic. So if we talk about if marginalized, if that's, how you're categorizing it, or maybe first generation English speaking, first generation to be in higher education, high school can be considered higher education with plans then to go into college. Watching them present and see what they did and to start a business, and the parents come and the siblings, and it really is changing a culture and a generation of habit, right? And showing them that they can achieve more and giving them the tools to do it. So it's that step of, physically, if you want to do this, we are going to show you how. This is how, and we're going to be there with you, and you're going to do the work, but we're going to be right next to you. It's really been huge. And added on to that, we built a student leadership council. So the students of these high schools, so you have like Anaheim, Garden Grove, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, a couple other ones. You have the leadership council who is instructing us at United Way and saying, we want to learn more about XYZ. We want more networking opportunities with this sector. We need support here, or this isn't working. Really listening to the community that we're supposed to be serving. I think a lot of organizations don't do that. A lot of organizations are in the position of, we're going to tell you this is what you should do, or this is what the best practice is, or this is how this is the limitation, or this is what we're going to give you, and without getting that feedback and really listening. So we do that on a big scale countywide with United Way. And we also do that here locally, with the Newport Beach Foundation. We're constantly looking for feedback from people who have gone through our Distinguished Citizen program, as well as city staff, and other residents. And what are they looking for? Do they want parent education series? Do they want more opportunities to volunteer? Do they, and are they missing out? Are we deficient in something? What do you want added to the program? So I think, to get back to your question of how we make sure they engage, it's really going to them and asking them, like, how can we help you? What do you want to do? How can we, make it happen? And then they're buying in, right? They're buying in, they're getting engaged. They're like, oh, I'm adding value. They care what I think. I have a say, or, even if it's like just one suggestion.
Right.
So I think that's something. And then, the example I gave with all the programs that we're doing with United Way, United for Student Success. So
it's very important work. Can you tell us a little bit about Simon Scholars? I myself don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, Simon Scholars, Ron Simon started it. It's a program for high school through college. It's really incredible. They fund, so you have to apply for the program, and in high school, there's considerable work to do and hours and volunteer. And then when you graduate high school, you receive financial help through college, and also mentorship. So it's really, we just went, actually, Joe Stapleton, who helped found Newport Beach Foundation along, with Meghan. We're both on the advisory board. It's a family founded organization and family funded. So they don't do a lot of external fundraising. And to be at the dinner and see a woman came back who went through it as a high schooler, and she has like 5 businesses now, and she went to Stanford, and yeah, it was really impressive.
Amazing.
Most of the students are going on to like top tier schools.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you also serve on the as a Newport Beach Library trustee, and so this is you're not only doing Newport Beach Foundation, which you're running, but now you're also serving the city in this fashion. And do you have any words you want to say about being involved with the library? On national scale, libraries have been a little bit, controversial, but they're important to our cities, and we want people to have access to books, culture, education, and, a spot to go. So I don't know if you want to comment on it or.
No, I mean, serving as a trustee, I was appointed by city council, and I'm very grateful. I love the library. I love books. I have studied in our libraries when I was studying for the bar. I've worked in them, brought all my children to our libraries. We really have an amazing system in Newport Beach. We have 4 branches just for a city of 89,000-ish people. The programming is outstanding. And I think, there's a lot. The climate is interesting, not necessarily just, in our city. And it's been fun, to work. You really have to learn to work with staff, right? And so I come from like a corporate, big law, big company, like everything moves really quickly. There's not as much, I guess, not red tape, but steps to go through. And I've just learned kind of how to crash course in, you're a trustee now, so this is how you write your email, or this is who you don't copy, or this is like what you can't say, or like, kind of this is. So for me personally, I've had to learn on the fly a little bit, but I really enjoy it. We have amazing staff. Melissa Harston, who's the director, she is awesome to work with. She is a good collaborator. So I like my fellow trustees, and it's an exciting time because I think, we have an opportunity right now to address some things that our library hadn't had to face before. It's just a little bit of a different time, particularly around children.
Yeah. I think also too, sometimes people don't realize how much it goes into having these facilities or places available to the community. So there's a lot of work that goes into running the city. A lot of work goes into having libraries available to the public and everything. A lot of work that goes into running our roads and keeping our landscape up in our city. So like all this stuff, and you just learn so much by participating with everyone that's a part of that. So you're very multifaceted. I'd like to transition here to the fact that you also are a lawyer that works with business owners. You have your own law firm. You've been outside counsel for many big corporations, and you're also a mom. So you've been able to really hit all 3 aspects of your life. And how do you stay organized on all that? So I think you're really a testament, I guess, is what I'm trying to say too. Like if you plan it out properly, you can handle all 3 of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I converted to like a robot a few years ago. No, I'm just kidding. Some days I'm doing really great as a mom, and maybe not so good or as responsive as a chairwoman or a community leader. And some days I'm a really good lawyer and I'm all in, and my kids are in the corner eating, Have a Chips at 5 a.m. because I'm on an East Coast conference call, and it's 8 o'clock there. So it definitely, I don't think there's like a perfect balance. I think it's like every day, but I do try to be from a time management. I try to be very like diligent and organized that way. I think I have a master's in logistics for sure. Most moms do, or
yes,
I think probably most women, because you're always juggling, and things go to the busiest person, usually is how it works to problem solve.
Yes.
I also, my husband is great. He works too, but he's really good if I'm like, look, I really need you to help. Can you pick up the kids and on this day? So communication, you need the support staff. I'm really blessed with some good warriors on the mom journey, and a great board too, where if I'm like, hey, I really can't, do all these 5 things. Can you guys like handle 2? And there's, our board is amazing. They're all, professionals and very smart and willing to chip in. So you have to have a good team. I can't take all the credit, or I would probably be in a loony bin by now if I had to do everything myself. But I think it's really rewarding because it's really hard for me. I'm just not the person, I think, that can just do one thing. I have a lot of interest, as you can see from all what I have done or am doing. And that's what fills my cup. And that's what allows me to give to my kids, give them experiences, or inform, or manage some people and personalities because I have children.
Yes.
So I know how to talk sometimes and negotiate when people are difficult. So it kind of all plays off each other and informs and instructs me in tackling, the issue at hand. You get tired, for sure. I would be lying if I said, I wasn't tired. But most of all, I feel really blessed to be able to have created a career where I still get that satisfaction of, the intellectual stimulation, and able to help contribute to my family. And then also, so that I can give back, to my community and philanthropically, because that does take money,
Yes.
So you need that. Although my husband's like, you would just like give all our money away. I'm like, well, I could try. He's like, yeah, I can see that. I'm like, yeah, well, I share. It's good to share.
Yes.
So I don't know. It just, I'm happy, for this life, and it's hard work, but it's rewarding. And, I get to be around people like yourself and who want to take time to ask me, what's in my brain or what's happening day to day. And I count that as a reward, for this life. So
a lot of people that are listening are entrepreneurs and, doing some of the things that you're doing on your professional side. And I just want to touch base, with your law firm, you're mostly helping in real estate and business owners, or, advising people that have companies. What would you say after dealing with these companies? And I'm switching gears here from, Civics to your actual day job. What would you say you've learned from these people that own companies? What's your best advice you can give to an entrepreneur that's going to, run their, first company, or, is running a company as an outside counsel for business owners?
One, I think you need to invest in people because as you grow, you don't want to be scrambling and searching while you're trying to grow. And you don't want to chintz out at the beginning because you might not have a lot of capital. Invest in the people, and they're worth it because that's your brand. You need people to help you create and maintain. It's really about maintaining, right? You can get traction and have a great brand and credibility. And then if someone's first touch point is a bad experience because you don't have the right person, or you put people in roles that they're really not suited for, and you're trying to have someone maybe do 3 things, they really are good at 1, that will eventually come back and affect your bottom line. So that's 1. 2, legal is not your enemy. Lawyers are good, especially ones who are understanding your business, meaning understand what is your tolerance for risk, right? That's really comes into play a lot with business. And that depends on the individual. It depends on the individual CEOs. Some of them are full charger, figure out the details later, big picture, let's do it. But you better have good people around you who are figuring out those details, or at least one, strong lawyer, not necessarily pump the brakes, but to point out and have the conversation and make you aware, because I've seen a lot of times, especially mid to small companies, where it's a little bit looser and you go on trust, and then you run into a problem down the road. I'm not a litigator, but it would help to be more preventative or button things up. A lot of times people are reactive and then they call a lawyer. I think that's why we have a bad reputation, maybe, because now they're in the problem and they're like, well, it's not my fault. Like, you fix it. And then it's like, oh, the lawyers. But just,
yes.
And goes back to like investing, have a good team, talk to someone. I mean, most people know an attorney, so take them to coffee, see, give them, I don't know if you're going to have shares or something you can't pay, give them a little equity or some kind of stock option or something, down the road. But you need that help, because if you're the CEO or you're the business, you're a lot of times that visionary and that big picture person, but the details matter. So yeah, people, details, knowing your risk tolerance.
It's great. So I really appreciate having you on here today. I think that the discussion on the civics and all the things that you're involved in kind of go together, and it's really inspiring. And I'm hoping we've inspired other people to get involved in their local area.
I hope
so that they know who's running their cities and, how everything works. It's really, I've gotten a lot out of it. I know you have as well. And you've also seen a lot of people get a lot out of, getting involved in these organizations. Is there anything else you have to say?
Well, I think I would just say one other thing. So years ago, I won't say how many years, I was at a conference for real estate, and the speaker was Peter Ueberroth. So a lot of people associate him, just with real estate, but he also was attributed with saving the Olympics. And he brought him to LA, and he's crazy successful. And one thing he said was, always know what's going on politically, because in these bills, they can put in funding for the hospital and funding for you can get your business deals also addressed if you know people and you know what's going on. So people would say they don't want to be involved in politics. They don't want to know. It has a negative connotation. He's like, it's the opposite. Like, you always need to, you should be aware and you should know. And if you think it doesn't affect you, you're wrong. So it was a good example from a source like you wouldn't expect. You wouldn't expect that advice, to come out. I thought he would be hyper focused on, selecting a site and finance and whatever. But it really was, I think actually it was part of the story about how Hogue ended up getting built. So.
Oh, wow. It's important. If you know how things work, you can get things done. So instead of being on your phone, more people should be involved with their local communities and what's happening. And it can also help your business if you're involved too. So, well, this was so fun, Antonella. Thank you. I would love to do it again. We didn't even touch on everything that you do. We briefly touched on your, law practice, which is amazing. But I thought that the most, it was important to really highlight the fact that you are chairing this organization called Newport Beach Foundation. And I personally feel it should be in every city. Every city should have one. So
I think actually Grace, our city manager, she's going to a conference or city managers or something along those lines in February, and asked me for materials on our program because she was going to talk about it.
Wonderful. Amazing.
It could be expanding, but I will not be sharing all of them.
Right. Well, hopefully we see it in more cities, and I think it would make a really big impact across the country. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful
Meghan.
weekend.
I really appreciate it. Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to the Business Talk podcast and leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us grow and improve. Thank you for joining us today. This has been another episode of Business Talk with Meghan McNulty.